Hey guys, how's it going? All right, so today is FAQ Friday, which means I'm going to be answering some of your questions live in vivo on the camera here. So let's jump right into this. I've got some really interesting questions that I think really anyone will benefit from. So sit tight. Let me just see if I can find the questions here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first question is from Brian on my Facebook page. He wanted to know, Yuri, I was in the Kansas 4-mile St. Patty's Day run. Around mile 3, I got a real bad side stitch. Could you explain what side stitches are and how to prevent them? And keep posting. You have much needed info that people should hear. I appreciate it. Keep working out. Keep working hard. All right, so side stitches, if you're a runner, if you've ever experienced this where you've exercised, and usually it's actually, I would say most specifically running. So if you've ever run or played any sports with running involved, you may have experienced a side stitch, and usually on the right side of the abdomen. The reason for this, the main reason for this, is because it actually involves your liver and your diaphragm. So your diaphragm is involved in breathing, right? When you inhale, sorry, your diaphragm lowers. When you exhale, it actually heightens or moves up. And one of the big problems with side stitches is that a lot of runners end up shallow breathing. So they don't actually take full inhales, they just end up huffing and puffing. They're like, so there's not a rhythmic controlled breathing pattern. And what the problem with that is that the diaphragm never fully relaxes over top the liver. And actually, I should explain that better. The liver attaches to the diaphragm via 2 ligaments. So when the diaphragm is not allowed to relax properly, if you're not breathing in deeply, right? So it's not able to settle down as much as it should. Those 2 ligaments are always strained, so they're never fully relaxed while you're running. Now, that's part of the reason that can lead to a development of a side stitch on the right side, because that's where the liver is on the right. The other reason is that depending on your breathing pattern, a lot of times you end up exhaling on the same foot. So what this means is that every time you land on your right foot, for instance, or every 4th time you land on your right foot, you're exhaling. You're always landing on your right foot when you're exhaling, which means that the same side, so if you're landing on the right foot all the time and you're exhaling at that same time, what's happening is you're drawing up your diaphragm as you're landing on that right side. So there's a disconnect, it's a bit of a pull as those internal organs are jarred. So the one side of your abdomen might get stressed out a little bit more than the other side. So, I mean, these are things that I never even thought of, and thanks for asking the question, because I actually had to do some research on this. It's a pretty common one that I get asked quite a bit from a lot of our treadmill trainer clients. So there it is. It has to do with the diaphragm and the liver, and sometimes if you get a stitch on the left side, it could be because you've eaten something too close to your run. So don't eat anything an hour to 2 before running, because you need time to allow that stuff to go through your digestive system. Otherwise, the side stitches will take you down. If you drink a lot of water before your run, same idea, right? So just little sips here and there, and that should be able to help it out. So there it is. So nice deep breathing during your runs, good big exhales, and then on the big inhales, and then the same thing on the exhales. You want to get into a nice rhythmic breathing pattern that isn't huff and puff laborious. Okay, so that's the first question. Let's move on to the next. Actually, the next question is pretty cool. It comes from one of our soccer guys, one of our soccer players at the University of Toronto, Nicola, as we call him. So here we go. So Yuri, Mario, Lawrence, and myself are heading on a long-distance bike trip from Vancouver to San Diego. Any experience, suggestions for this, training, food, etc. So at Nationals, these guys, so 3 of the guys on our team were telling me that they're planning a bike trip in the summer to bike from Vancouver all the way down to San Diego along Pacific Coast Highway. I'm like, what an amazing trip that's going to be. That's like memories for life. So he wants to know, in terms of training, like what should they be doing? Because right now the guys are training in the off season for games, soccer-wise, a lot of soccer-specific stuff. And here's a recommendation that I told him, is that biking, cycling, like with anything else, is all about specificity. So you can be the fastest runner, the most endurant runner, the best soccer player in the world, but get on a bike, and it's a very different ballgame. So you need to train specific to the demands of that sport. So if they're going to be cycling several thousand kilometers, they need to get their body used to the movement patterns, first of all, so that cycling movement pattern, which means doing more of their training on a bike, and specifically as close to the type of bike that they'll be using. So there's no point in using a recumbent bike where they're going to be sitting back and their feet are going to be going out like this, unless that's the type of bike they're using. They're better off hopping on a spin bike, right, where it's actually more of a road bike type of position. Okay, so it's all about specificity. So that's the first thing, is training the movement. Second thing is you need to train the energy systems. They'll probably be covering a couple 100 kilometers a day, so they need to get their muscles, their leg muscles specifically, accustomed to the energy demands of that cycle. So they're going to have to, again, get on a spin bike, for instance, and just go at it. Go at it for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, build it up so that they're going for several hours. Understanding that they're probably going to be going, up some hills. A lot of it's pretty flat. I mean, I've driven most of that highway, but they probably will experience some hills, right? So it's good to increase the resistance, mimicking what it would be like if they're going to go uphill, and get those muscles used to lactic acid. Just get used to sitting in that position for as long as possible. Train the core muscles, right, so that they're supporting their upper body and lower body as they're sitting on a bike. So again, whether this is Nick training for a massive bike ride, or somebody else training for basketball or hockey or swimming, it's all about, you have to train as specifically as possible to the given demands of that eventual sport. Okay? Food-wise, for them, it's really going to be about caloric intake, because they're going to be burning quite a few calories if they're going to be biking, let's say 150 to 200 kilometers a day. They're going to need to keep a good amount of calories coming in, obviously from good whole foods. While they're on the road, what are some things that they can take? Well, they can make some trail mixes, maybe some walnuts, some almonds, some raisins, some dates, some good sources of simple sugars that will refuel them. They can even use some of the sport gels that I mentioned in some of my nutrition programs. And what else? Obviously, lots of water. A sport drink. Obviously, if they don't have time to make a homemade sports drink, well, then they're going to have to settle for a Gatorade. But at that demand, at that kind of level of demand, the Gatorade is not too bad, other than obviously the food dyes and stuff like that. So that's what I would recommend. It's really about specificity, training to the demands of the eventual event or sport, and food-wise for them to maintain their caloric intake at a good high level, taking stuff within that's going to be easily absorbable, bananas, dates, maybe some trail mixes for some almonds and nuts and stuff for protein, and obviously stopping at some roadside restaurants where they're not serving just burgers and fries would be helpful too. So that's the second question. Hopefully that's helped you out. And again, it doesn't matter what sport you're in, doesn't matter what you're training for, it's all about specificity. Third question comes from Susan, again another question on my Facebook page. Dear Yuri, would like some help in losing weight due to diabetes, and would like to ask you if you can do that. I don't eat a lot, and I try to stay away from sweets very much, and I drink a lot of water. I also have a problem with varicose veins, and that's another reason why I want to lose weight. I would appreciate it very much to get an answer from you. Thank you. I'd like to get a program and recipes for diet food. Okay, so I have a lot of people ask, me, Yuri, I need to lose weight. What's the first thing I should do? Okay, so I'm going to make this very simple for you, and I can also make it very complicated. So the more the complicated answer is, you can watch all of my videos on YouTube, and you'll get all the answers you ever need, all the workouts, all the programs, all the exercises, more or less. Or you can go through any one of my programs on my blog. You can see a list of all the programs, nutrition as well as fitness-wise, to help you get there. Now, the key with losing weight comes down to this: diet and exercise. That's it. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's essentially what it is. It's a combination, and especially for women, because Susan obviously is a woman, she wants to lose weight. So what's going to happen is she's going to find, if she's following the right program, she's going to find a kind of a quick drop off of weight, and as she gets fitter and closer to her goal, that's going to kind of taper off. And that's just because there's a law of diminishing returns. As you get fitter, you need to work a lot harder to get a smaller improvement or weight loss. Okay. So the first thing, let's talk about exercise here. First thing she needs to do, strength training. Absolutely critical. If you've never resistance trained, start off with some body weight exercises, lunge walks, squats, step ups, anything that's going to use a lot of muscle, okay? Because a lot of muscle means burning a lot of calories, and that's a good thing during and after the workout. Okay, so the important thing with the working out, above and beyond the actual burning of the calories during the workout, is that you're actually developing more lean muscle, which is going to keep your metabolic rate higher so that you can burn more calories on a passive basis every single day. Resistance training is really, really important. Cardio, not so much. If you're going to be doing cardio, limit it to 2-3 times maybe a week and focus on intervals, bouts of high and low intensity. So if you're on the elliptical, it's very, 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 very fast, recover. Very, 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 very fast, and recover. Make sure to increase the intensity, the resistance on the elliptical during that work bout. If you're on a treadmill, sprint, jog, or jog, walk, whatever setup you want to use. That's really as simple as it is exercise standpoint. 3 to 4 times a week, you need to be huffing and puffing and sweating. You need to be like literally drenched. It's not the type of workout that you're going to sit 2 minutes between sets, read a magazine. That's not it. It's go, 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 go. High intensity stuff. You need to burn calories during the workouts, lay down some lean muscle with strength training specifically, and you can complement that with some good interval cardio training. Strength training workouts, resistance training workouts can be body weight, resistance bands, dumbbells, barbells. It doesn't really matter. It's all about that intensity and getting full body involved. Diet-wise, what I really recommend is obviously, as you know, more of a raw food, plant-based diet, because it's just so easy to lose weight when you're eating natural foods. So get away from the wheat, get away from the dairy. Just doing that alone will help you, like literally, just drop 5 to 10 pounds in a couple hours, or a couple days, I should say. Because a lot of times the body is retaining weight because it's just responding to inflammation that is caused by these foods. So if you can move more to a plant-based diet, more to raw foods, that's the best way to do it. I'd recommend obviously my Eating for Energy program, soon to be called a different name, and I'll tell you about that later. But for now, you can learn more about it there. Tons of recipes, take 10 minutes or less to make. And the importance of plant-based foods is that they're also very water-rich. They're water-rich, they are nutrient-dense, and they don't have a lot of calories. So you're getting everything your body needs with fewer calories and more water. So the end result is that you're just enjoying greater nutrition while limiting your cravings, because the less you eat sugar, the less you eat carbs, the less you eat wheat, the less you're going to want those foods. And so that's the key. So it's really, unfortunately, we've made it out to be a lot more complicated than it has to be, but it really comes down to exercise your butt off, eat well, and just be patient and be persistent. That's really all it comes down to. So hopefully that's helped you out. And there we go for the FAQ Friday. Thanks again for your questions. If you have any other questions about this kind of stuff or any clarification, just let me know below in the comment section on the blog. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.